everyone, my name is Rick Passek, the FlyFish Fanatic, and welcome to my tying bench. Today we'll be doing another Gurgler pattern, topwater Gurgler for trout. It's a bit smaller than the large bass or the large salmon Gurglers that I tie. This is a little bit like, excuse me, a little bit like the all black Gurgler I did a little while ago. This is actually Gary Hankey out of Edmonton. Alberta. It's his pattern with a little bit of a twist, but it's pretty well his pattern. The only big difference is I use, I'm going to use clear clear Straggle instead of the green Straggle. On this one, I do it with many different types. I will just give you guys a quick... So these are all the different colors that I use. There is the green is predominant, some orange ones, pink ones, and the ones I'll be doing today will be with a white back. No, sorry, I'll do the green back today, but I also do them with a white back and all green, all white. Sorry, I do them with a green underbody. So many different ways. Yeah, so just we'll get her going here. These are great little patterns at this time of year. We've had such good success with these things in Central Alberta, like just crazy. 60 plus fish last weekend, all tigers, rainbows, and browns. I think the smallest was over 2 pounds, and the biggest was just under 8. So lots and lots and lots of fish. So really successful pattern. So let's get her going here. So today there's 2 different hooks I tie with. Today I'll be tying with a Hends BL724 in a size 10. It's a streamer. So it's a fairly large hook. It's not huge, but the other one that I really like, that most of mine are actually tied on, I ran out of the size I like, is these here, these Mustad O'Shaughnessy's. But I like them a little bit, the one size smaller. That's what this one is tied on, right? So it's a little bit smaller. But I tie them on this as well. I really like those Mustad O'Shaughnessy's. The only thing with the Mustad O'Shaughnessy's is they are a little bit heavier gauge wire, so they will it won't stay. It will weigh it down just a tiny bit more. So, but with all that, let's get us going. So today for the tail, we're going to be using some Hens white Marabou, just a little bit of Marabou for the tail. For the body, we will be using some Semperfli ice Straggle in white. And for the shell back or for the floating part, it's just a booby tube cut on an angle. So basically it is I don't have another green one here. This is a pink one these are from a 9mm booby tube from Semperfli. So I just take the booby tube and I'll cut it. I'll see if you guys can see that as I do it. I cut it on an angle from corner to corner. So now I end up with 2 halves, right? And I can use one on 2 different, that's good for 2 flies. Now there's a lot of different materials out there you can use. Booby tubes are awesome. I know Gary found this stuff. It's like a mini pool noodle at the dollar store. Years ago, I've gone to about 10 different dollar stores and I can't find it in anymore. This is about a 10 mil. It's a little bit bigger than the booby tubes, which are 9. So this is about a 10 mil. I did find this stuff yesterday. It's a 15 mil, and it's they just call it foam rope at the dollar store, right? But so it's really big. But I did tie this one actually with it yesterday, and all I did is I just, again, same thing. I cut it like this, and then I just trimmed it and trimmed it and trimmed it until I got it the size I want. So it works. So but yeah, so let's get her going then. So I'm going to start off with some Semperfli classic waxed in fluoro green with this pattern. I do want that fluoro green to show through the body a bit, so that's why I'm going to use this fluoro green. If I want it like that white one that I showed you guys, that one's got I used the pink, get a little bit of that pink underbody going through it. So I'm just going to bring this back up, leave myself plenty of room at the front. for the foam. So I'm going to take a bunch of Marabou here. Let's see if this is gonna. No, I don't like that piece. I'm gonna grab a new one. Grab a new piece of Marabou here, and I'm just going to take it off of one side of the feather. So I'm just going to grab it by the tips, stroke it all back, and then I'm going to, if you've seen any of my other videos, this is what I do. I strip and I fold over, strip and fold over, strip and fold over, all off of one side, and then I can do the same on the other side. Right, so I got myself this little scraggly little bundle. Now what I'll do is I'll just get it under control. Figure out the length I need, which I wanted about the length of the body. So about that long. So I'm going to go to there. So I want to cut it about there. And I'm going to tie this in right at the front. Just keeping the streamlined body as much as possible. Underneath, over top, underneath, and over top. Now, sometimes when you're using this Marabou, it's good to just give your fingers a little bit of a lick and just keep that stuff under control because it can get pretty fuzzy. So that's pretty long. So I'm going to actually pinch it. Now, I like actually a longer tail, but I'm going to pinch it and just tear off the where I want it. So about that long. So, ready? Step 1 done. Step 2, a little bit of your ice straggle. Again, back to the front. Tie it in. See, I'm silly. Should know better. I've tied hundreds of these. Got to put the foam in first. So, again, I want to just lay the foam on top, catch it in with a semi-loose to wrap, another semi-loose wrap, just to get that tied in, and now I can tighten down. Doesn't matter what kind of thread you use. The nano silks are probably a little bit worse, but any of these threads will cut this foam, so you got to be a little bit careful. Now I lift it back, and you see when I fold over, it's going to leave a bit of a spot, so that's not what I want. So I'm going to actually come back a bit and make sure that's tied in where I want it to be tied in. So now when I lift, I'm straight into the Marabou, right? Now, come back to the front, and now tie in my ice straggle that I told you to tie in earlier. Just catch it in. And now I want to create a green underbody. I want to make sure that green shows through. So I'm going to go one more back. Don't worry about all these little stragglers. You want that, and you'll see that in a minute, right? When I wrap the ice straggle, I just want to make sure I've got that green underbody so that green shines through. Okay, so now I'm going to take my straggle and I'm just going to put one good wrap right at the back, and then touching, but just leave a tiniest space open between it, just tiny. And you see how that green is kind of showing through a little bit there? That's what I want. Tie that off, fold it back, tie it off, cut off your straggle. I like just getting all this material, making sure it's away from the eye as much as I can. I can clean that up in a second here if there is any. But then, excuse me, I got a frog in my throat this morning. I take my Velcro and just lightly, I'm just going to stroke all those straggle legs down. I don't want to trap them under the foam if I can help it. So I'm going to stretch as many as I can, and again, can even just give that a little bit of a push down. I'm going to take my foam and lay it over top. Make sure my thread is flattened. take a loose-ish wrap and tighten it up a bit more, a bit more. Make sure it's centered on there, which you can see that it is. Okay, again, a couple more now. This is key. Get in here. It's hard for you guys to see this, but I'm lifting up this foam and I'm going to build a thread dam in front of it here. Okay, and sometimes it's better to just lift your fly like that and then just get in there and build a thread dam right behind that foam. It helps the front part of this gurgler stay up. Sorry for my fingers being in the way there, but I just caught the foam. There we go. So, well, that's a first. I'll have to edit that out. Because normally I don't edit that out, but I'm going to edit that out. Cut the thread.
What I would do too, is put your hand in front of the camera, like so that you know where the cutoff, like where you're going to start. Just make it easier in the editing process.
Once you've got your thread dam built up, lay it back down, take some wraps on top again, take your whip finishing tool. I do one set of whip finishes. Make sure you're not trapping your foam. Then I'll take my whatever brand of head cement you like. I like the Sally Hansen's here. Just put a little bit right on my thread there. Do another whip finish right in the same spot. Get that right in there. That's Sally's. Nice and tight. Make sure that's tight. Cut that off. Then, now quite an important part with these gurglers is you don't want to leave it like that. You want to shape that head. That thick part there will work, but you want to cut this on an angle. So I like flattening it out and then cutting it this way. So I'm cutting it on an angle like this, right? So flatten it out and then cut it on an angle. And then get in there and get right in there if you can. And just take these little corners off on the bottom and on the top. But that's it. So that creates quite that face that the water will hit, and that makes it do that bloop, that gurgle, right? And that's what you want. So I can just stroke these fibers a little bit just to make sure they're all sticking out, and that's it. That is your finished trout gurgler. Like I said, this is a Gary Hankey pattern. It is got some, it's not exactly like he ties it, obviously. But it's a really, really good, really, really effective pattern. And there's two keys to these. One, making sure that this is faced like this. You don't want a big, you don't want it shaped like it was. You want to have it kind of straight there to create that water movement. And two, that thread dam underneath there. You want that to keep this up. You don't want this to fall down when it's in the water. It'll still work, but it won't gurgle as good. And that gurgling sound is what you really want. You want that real heavy glurp, glurp. And then you just 2, 3, 4 times and let it sit. Then 2, 3, 4 times, let it sit. Still nothing, then strip, 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 maybe 10, 15 times, let it sit. These were, like I said, the trout, all of them. whether it was the rainbows, the tigers, or the browns, were going absolutely bonkers over this thing last week. Now, the one we were using was with a green body, white tail, green body, and a white foam on the top. So it would be similar to this one, but with a green foam, a green straggle. And that was it. That was going absolutely crazy for us. So, but yeah, give that a try, guys. And if you like that, give her a thumbs up. If you've subscribed, thank you. If you have not, please consider doing so. And once I reach 1,000 subscribers, I will be giving away a selection of the flies that I've tied on this channel, as well as a copy of both of the books that I wrote. The Freshman Fly Fisher, the Beginner's Guide, and the Canadian, the Insect Guide here. This is a Canadian bestseller. So that's what I'll be giving away. Alrighty. Tie lines, everyone. Enjoy your tying.